Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SLO City Together Podcast. I'm waving to a camera.
Oh.
Because we have a new wrinkle. Why am I hunched over like this?
A new wrinkle?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, it's an old wrinkle. One that we've brought back. Thank you.
An old wrinkle that we brought back, which is a video. We're adding a video element to the SLO City Together podcast.
Yeah. Which is new for me, but
it is
something
new for you.
You
so
and
it's
Jordan
not an old
used to
wrinkle
do.
for you. It's a new wrinkle for you. It's an old wrinkle for me.
Exactly.
And it's a brand new wrinkle for Vanessa.
You guys are fancy, is all I have to say.
Fancy?
Fancy.
Video and audio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how it goes. How's it going?
Here we are.
Here we are.
Cool.
Happy Wednesday. How we doing?
Midweek. It's been a big couple weeks around the church offices. Lots happening in the new year.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm trying to. I came in late today. Oh, sorry. We're having a distractor pop up in the window. Jordan E. Gallagher is peering in.
Oh, hello.
Desiring to be here, but Jordan was one of the first on a video podcast.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
yeah. The week.
Nice.
Let's go back to the week. You asked the question about the week.
I said, how are we doing? Yeah.
How are you 1 to
Wednesday.
10 this week?
7.
7. It's a good number. Luke, if you say 4, I'm going to be discouraged.
I'm above a 4. 4 was primarily due to the onset of an illness, of a virus.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be back into life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put myself at. I want to say a 6.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
For coming
Yeah.
off of being sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to go 5.5.
Okay.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
And I'm not having the best week, but I'm not having the worst week.
Okay.
But I'm not having a better week than I am having a worser week. So 5.5.
Oh, good.
Should I lower my number?
No, your number's
No.
great. You are lifting
Should I
us
be
up.
should I be
No,
a 6 then?
no, I think it's really
What
good.
was your? I've missed it.
It was a 7.
It's a 7. That's
It's just
great.
my default answer.
Yeah. I've heard people will ask that question. They'll say, scale of 1 to 10, how are you? But you can't say 7.
Oh,
Because everyone,
Says 7.
a lot of
Says
people
7.
say 7.
Yeah. Well,
It's just like the safe
It's
bet.
a holy number, too.
There you go. I don't know if that's the motivation behind
I
saying
think it is.
7.
Because if you say 6, then you're evil.
Yeah. Oops. Sorry.
That's why I said 5.5.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
6.5 is still better. So you're adding a 5. So it works.
Yeah. How you are feeling better? I had a little
feeling
sickness,
much
but
better.
not as bad as you had. I
It
think mine
was-
was kind of a stress or not stress, but
Yeah.
tiredness, sickness.
Yeah.
Where you get so tired that you just bottom out.
Right.
Yours was.
I was sick.
I want to feel like yours is more legitimate.
Yeah. But thank you for granting me that. I wouldn't say bedridden, but in my room for 4 days, which that takes a lot. I don't like being at home,
Yeah.
and I don't like being in my room when I am home.
Mm.
So,
what is that? No, I'm just kidding.
oh, here we go.
How could we design your room to where it's comfortable?
What's going on?
I
at
actually love
home?
my bedroom.
We should talk about. I'm just kidding.
Jake bosses me around. No. So one important lesson learned from this virus. So I went to the doctor on Sunday.
Okay.
While people were at church, I was in the doctor's office.
Feeling guilty.
Oh man, I cannot express the level of anxiety of I'm a bad person
For not going to
for not going to church. I was like, I thought I was doing the right thing. I didn't want to get people sick.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I abandoned everyone.
Aw.
Thank you, Vanessa and
Yeah.
Jordan, who can't hear us but is outside this door, for stepping in big time, last minute, and got to watch online, and it was great.
Yeah.
I was really proud of you guys. The whole team. It was awesome.
It was a big deal.
You were missed.
You were missed.
Well, I missed being there.
I wasn't there either, but I missed you.
Thanks, man.
You both were. You both were missed.
You were planning on
Don't
not
leave
being
again.
there. Yeah. So my public service announcement, going back to being at the doctor on Sunday.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
People
Okay.
need to know this.
Well, they need to
fact.
know
Good.
this.
Here we go.
So from the instruction of my girlfriend, I started taking Sudafed. So I'm totally blaming all this on
Big
her.
news. Big news on the podcast. Luke has a girlfriend.
That's not news.
Okay.
And
Go ahead.
You
Sudafed.
may not want to blame her.
Quick.
I don't know.
No. She admitted it's not blame, but so she told me, she was like, you should take Sudafed. It's specific for congestion and if you have a cold and flu symptoms. I was like, okay.
You didn't know that before?
No, I never heard of Sudafed. I'm a Tylenol lifer,
Man,
you know?
You're so young.
It's just whenever I feel anything.
Just Tylenol?
Sad, I take Tylenol. I'm kidding. That got dark. No, I don't do that. Anytime
your stomach it has holes in it, and your liver is.
Back to your home life.
Your upbringing.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Dayquil before.
I only take Tylenol when I need to.
Okay,
and so, but I wasn't taking Tylenol. I took Sudafed PE, which is just the stuff that you buy. Like you go in the aisle.
You go to the gym.
And do they have it at the gym?
Physical education. Sudafed.
I've never heard of PE.
PE. Oh, I get it. Okay.
What's PE stand
Probably
for?
pro.
I think it's one of the
It's not
ingredients.
PM?
It's not PM. It's PE.
Okay.
All right, keep going.
So,
It's okay.
Okay. So
We're interrupting you.
I found out from, I believe she was a nurse practitioner. Shout out to Stephanie at Cottage Urgent Care.
Stephanie.
The best urgent care, the most helpful urgent care experience I've had. And so she informed me that Sudafed PE, the stuff you just get in the aisle, is worthless. It's useless. It doesn't do anything. The FDA came out, apparently real Sudafed can be used to make meth. So they had to like put it behind the counter and do that whole thing. So that stuff does work.
So
but
the
you
public
have to
service announcement is you're telling people how to make meth on the church podcast?
Oh my God.
I don't know how to make meth. I just know that's what the people are using it for sometimes.
Okay.
And
It's a
so
very sad, dangerous thing that we need to probably talk about now.
yeah, don't do drugs. We do not condone the use of recreational drugs.
Gosh.
So anyway, all this to say, don't take Sudafed PE. But if you go behind the counter and get the real Sudafed, it works.
Thank you so
for
much.
There you go.
multiple things.
Yes.
But
Yes.
just use it for
Yes.
flu-like symptoms.
Wow.
Do you-
Okay. I'm trying to look up what
What PE is.
means, and it is phenylephrine, which is an ingredient in Sudafed PE. Welcome to the SLO City Together podcast, where we discuss the fentanyl crisis in America, which is fentanyl and methamphetamine crisis, which is a real thing.
It
Luke.
is a real thing. What?
Which is why
I wasn't downplaying it.
Which is why also that they took your ID. Is that what you said? Or you didn't need your ID for that?
You don't need it if you get the PE stuff,
Yeah.
but you do need it to get the actual Sudafed that works behind the counter.
And the
at a
moral of the
pharmacy.
story is you're feeling better.
Yes, all that to say, by each day I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
I hiked this Lay Hill last night and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And that was good to
That's
be
awesome.
out of the house.
That's awesome. Welcome back.
Thank you. So yeah.
What a journey.
Yeah. What's the next topic?
I don't even know what to think anymore. That was so much.
It's awesome.
I was going to you mentioned ice baths last night.
Oh, yeah.
Where did that come?
Cold plunges.
People have told you about cold plunges recently?
So, context, we were at Together Nights last night, and I came in at the last little portion, and I don't know why, I was very talkative. But Tim was teaching on kind of the mission of the church and how to live on mission and how to meet people where they're at and share faith. And there was a question that arose about I think the question was, how do I share my faith with someone and not come off like a narcissist? Which I think is an interesting question, because I think a lot of people approach sharing faith or fear like they're going to think I'm judging them, or they're going to think I'm telling them what to do. And so what came into my mind was cold plunges. Because,
great.
Because recently I have been inundated by friends and enemies who have told me, and I don't have enemies.
I was like, what enemies are telling you about cold plunges?
How's home life?
about the benefits of cold plunges.
Yeah.
And to your health, wellness, your kind of resets your dopamine levels, which we are in a dopamine addicted world, and it just kind of resets you. And I was in Miami at that Orchard Group retreat, and a group of pastors were sitting around talking about spiritual practices. And in spiritual practices came up ice baths, cold plunges, that whole kind of like a physical routine with also like a spiritual routine. And that's where that came up. So I brought it up last night just to clear the air of like, people are telling me all the time about cold plunges, and I don't feel like they're being narcissistic. I feel like it's interesting. And so sometimes we are like, I don't want to tell people about my relationship with Jesus because it feels presumptuous. And some of that is because of how cultural Christianity has done evangelism in the past.
Right.
But like, what if we just looked at it like we're telling somebody about a cold plunge, except way more true? and way better. And all of life. Thoughts?
It's a great point. I'm glad you shared that, because it's an interesting thought, because when we get excited about something that's new or we see the benefits of it, we want to tell people about it. Yeah. So I think your comment was really relatable and I think helpful to kind of, just encourage people to share their faith.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yet sharing your faith is not like a wellness tip.
Yeah.
Which I think which is kind of also, because maybe the comment before that's what I thought when it came out from that individual of like, we share our wellness tips. Why not we share Jesus, because he helps. And I'm like, oh, yeah. But it's more than just Jesus makes me better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where maybe some of the disconnect is for people too in sharing faith, is like, well, how is Jesus not just taking Tylenol?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Sudafed PE. You don't even have to share your ID to take some Jesus.
Well, Jesus works, and Sudafed PE is a lie. So Jesus is the truth.
So what's been your experience with like kind of like evangelism, evangelical world?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
Because I think there are pendulum swings in the church where it's like, and I think even on our staff, I think there are different levels of like gifting and like this person has an evangelism gift. This person because I think I would say what I appreciate about Tim, I'll talk about Tim since he's not here.
Yeah.
Is that he's always pushing inward and down, like in terms of like spiritual practice and like how are we shaping the heart and forming roots and and I'm looking at like the top side of the tree going like, I want to see fruit, right? But to bear fruit, you have to grow roots. And if you're growing roots, you should be bearing fruit. So it's like, I'm always thinking about like the person who's coming to church for the first time, who I want to make sure they feel like seen, known, loved, like it's an approachable place. So I always have kind of eyes for evangelism. And yet, I don't know. So I guess my question is, what's been your like relationship with it in a good way, bad way, in the church, in your life?
Yeah, I think as a teenager, I can remember there being like a high emphasis on evangelism as like the only way. And I think as I've gotten older, you kind of learn like who God has made you to be and his gifting. And to your point, like what God has graced your life, your perspective, what you carry, and you do it well, right? Whereas like Tim has a different gifting in who he is and what his life has been graced with, and he does it well.
Yeah.
And I think that's to like Paul's point, right? That the church is this the beautiful body that has many different parts that functions in like together, like meant to function together. And so I think when I, like as a young adult, learning more about who I am, what God has graced me with, and living into that instead of like trying to be what I'm not. And so in the context of evangelism, I've learned for myself, I'm probably not going to be the one that's like high energy about it or like really outspoken, but I will play the long game with people. And, as I've had like jobs outside of the church, just knowing my place to build relationships with people, become really good at listening and asking questions and knowing like that's what God's graced my life to be. And then there's other people that will come in and kind of play a different part that will serve a different purpose at the right time. So I don't know.
I mean, you guys invited, I feel like every weekend I hear of somebody else you've invited to church though. And they're showing up. Scout had a buddy come on 6 p.m. and I don't know. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's just come more out of just sharing my life though. Not like I'm going out with the intent to invite someone, but more just being available as people ask about my life. I just am invitational.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like you're not going out like, okay, let me map out the neighborhood, let me write down everybody's names. And you're looking at people with like an agenda.
Yeah.
Even
Right.
though your life is oriented around following Jesus, living the way of Jesus, being hospitable, like, you know,
Yeah.
being deeply rooted. But by nature, if you're building relationships, people are probably going to go, what do you do
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
fun,
Yeah.
for life, for work, for
Mhm.
what do you do on Sundays?
Yeah.
You know? And it just kind of comes up in those. So
Mhm.
I just lost my train of thought, but
No,
I don't
it's
know
good.
if that made sense.
That's what I appreciated about Tim walking through those like 4 elements of, I don't know if you call it like evangelism or incarnation, demonstration, proclamation, and recreation.
Mhm.
And how, there's just like, some people are probably more naturally gifted at some of those
Yeah.
than others. And so there's an element of, like I should live in and become the fullest version of myself that
Yeah.
lives into these giftings.
Mhm.
I think like for me, cause I'm not like a very like vocal person in general, I
Really?
would say.
Really?
You think I am? Or is that sarcasm?
I think it's sarcasm.
You seemed so sincere when you said really.
Let the
He
video
did.
Usually
show
I could-
that it was sincere. Let the video replay. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
You're a quiet guy,
I
which is good.
I'm-
Contemplative.
Yeah.
A creative contemplative.
Oh,
Living in the shadows, which is a good thing.
in the
Go ahead.
shadows.
I'm trying to bring some
Yeah.
levity, brevity.
Levity and brevity. That's good. All the evities. No, so I think I've always like leaned more into like incarnation demonstration, but I do feel this sense of almost a sense of like guilt of that I'm not more like in the proclamation or the feel or the like pressure to like become more proclamative, if that's a word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I do know what you mean. And I think some of that maybe pressure comes from the season that you stepped into the life of our church. Because I've thought about this a lot. Like what happens in the church when you're planting, like the planting phase is like, there's a mentality that I think you just kind of have to adopt of like, everybody's a pioneer. Everybody's inviting everyone all the time. Everybody's, and there's a beauty in that because it actually forces people who don't usually live like super recreational or proclamation to be like, I got to do this or nobody's going to come to like, you know,
right.
Like you feel it. It wasn't like a culture that was set, I don't think, and now I feel like we're hitting a phase in the life of our church, even as a staff, where it's like, no, like there's unique giftings. And so, you know, this person is like we were in taking the working genius stuff and like, this person is a galvanizer.
Yeah.
Let them galvanize.
Yeah.
This person is I don't even know the other things. This person has tenacity. And so let them do the hard work that gives them joy in life to like see something through to completion and like dig deep roots.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I feel like it's a phase in even our staff context that we're even feeling like, does that make sense what I'm trying to articulate?
For sure. Yeah.
Like, and so maybe you felt guilt, you know, in a season that was like, I need to be this.
Yeah.
And it kind of drained you maybe. And I'm not saying it did.
Yeah.
But there are things like now that I'm recognizing, like we're kind of growing and maturing as even a staff and a church to be like, no, there are unique parts of the body. We don't all have to scoop the ice cream.
Yeah.
You all, I mean, it doesn't mean you don't share Jesus in the way that God has
or
made
even
you to
step
share.
out of your comfort zone and like try to grow some different
But
skills.
I'm trying to put like context on like maybe why you felt that way before.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think January, well, because we're still in January. It's the last day, but it was a cool.
January.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But there
Can't
was
wait
kind of
for
some.
February.
There was kind of some cool like fruit and like affirmation of like how those, I don't know, abilities or whatever, that those giftings like do create conversations centered around Jesus and faith. I told you the story of being at the mattress store and just the guy asking me, what do you do? And that led to conversations about angels, you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
and which is like kind of the cool thing about like being on staff at a church is like that's a question almost anyone asks you is what do you do?
Yeah.
And you get to, it's like, oh, I'm tied to a church, like that's what I do for work. So that kind of is a natural conversation creator. But all that to say, like, just I think what, to your point, what you're saying is if that's part of who you are, like church life, faith are kind of ingrained, like that shows up in conversation. And I think those, hopefully.
And for many of us, it doesn't. because we just kind of stick to sports, the weather,
Mm-hmm.
movies, and kids' activities.
Yeah.
And I think like when you allow the depth of like, because I think part of what identifies you, me, is like, oh, where do you work? Like work is an identifier.
Right.
And so then it comes up a little easier when people ask us about work. But if we didn't work here, if I didn't work at a church, if I wasn't in ministry,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a pharmaceutical salesman, which is what I initially went to school to do.
Really?
Sell Sudafed
Sudafed.
PE.
Whoa.
Not PE.
First full circle.
Yeah. Like would faith conversations come up as, would I expose that as much?
Yeah, right.
That's challenging for, I think, us to wrestle with, but also for everybody listening is like, how does it come up for you? Is it an identifier for you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asks about your hobbies, your interests, your likes. Like, it's a great opportunity to just go like, and I love to, serve at church.
Yeah.
I love to,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why like the element of community within church is so important, because then it does naturally just kind of bleed into it.
Yeah.
So like I think when I go to the grocery store, what are you up to this weekend?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm like committed to a community of engagement and I'm there, I'm being a together people, it's kind of nice. It does kind of just come up organically.
Yeah.
When it is like a high priority and value system that I'm living my life is leaning into.
Or somebody's like, what'd you do this past week? Well, Sunday night I was at church, Monday night I was at church, Tuesday night I was at church, Wednesday night I was at church,
Truly.
Thursday night I was at church.
This week,
and Friday
I rested.
It's my Sabbath.
Sabbath from church.
What's Sabbath?
What's Sabbath? I'm glad you asked.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week, and I just want to honor you guys, or busy week, busy month, which we were not anticipating.
Yeah.
Kind of started slow and then ramped up.
Started slow, started quiet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were sicknesses and changes and transitions. So we're gearing up for just as if we move into kind of the announcement phase of the podcast, we're kind of gearing up for all family meeting tonight, all church family meeting tonight, which I'm interested to see how many people show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, historically, registration jumps about 50 people the day of.
Yeah.
So appreciate all you early signups so that we have enough
You can
food.
plan accordingly.
Usually, some of you late sign-uppers cause me to not eat dinner because I want you to eat. I'm just joking. That sounded sad. That sounded a little.
You're also
that sounded
welcome.
a little curmudgeon to admit. I'm sorry. It was a joke. It sounded a little mean. Hopefully, you saw my face.
Yeah, you're
but
good.
Tonight's an all-church family meeting.
Yeah.
Excited to share a little bit about the building, budget, who's on staff, kind of some future stuff. Tim's working hard on those pie charts right now.
Oh boy.
He loves a good graph.
And we're eating pie.
Yeah.
Are we?
Well, pizza pie.
Oh,
A pizza pie.
that was good.
We start a new series this week.
Yeah.
While also, little teaser for those listeners on the podcast. This is secret news. We're going to continue in Exodus for at least this Sunday.
I'm not telling anyone.
But it's a new series called Big God, which I'm excited about. And just leaning into the character and nature of who God is. And groups start next week.
Yeah. I was actually wondering that last night. What's the content for groups? Are we following
Great question.
Big God? Is it?
Thank you for asking that question publicly.
Is it? Well, I know. This is a little peek behind the curtain.
The group questions are being kind of pulled together as we speak.
Great.
Yeah.
Are they the pie charts? Is it group questions in a pie chart?
No, the pie chart is all church family meeting budget pie chart.
Well, it's just an idea
Yes,
for
and
you in design. I don't know.
So we have
We'll consider it.
groups at home. This because of a lot of transition. Groups at home. This session is a little bit more organic. We're gonna call it organic.
That's a good word.
Spontaneity.
Everybody's
Yeah.
super excited about it. I talked to a couple couples last night who are hosting who are like, we just want to open up our home. And like Mike shared, he's like, I think the greatest thing about discipleship, or one of the biggest opportunities the church has in discipleship, is just helping people learn how to be good friends.
Mm.
And he kind of talked about the gospel found in friendship.
Yeah.
And how, especially in this culture of isolation, how like if the church just helps people have friendships, like discipleship happens. And
Yeah.
it's coming from a really deep dude who, I don't know. So
Yeah.
we're going to read a book together. Tim invited me to a book club.
Yes.
It's called
that's
Spiritual
cool.
Friendship,
Yeah.
which sounds interesting,
Nice.
which will be great.
You wanted to make a joke, didn't you?
I did.
That was good restraint.
Not actual friends, just spiritual
Spiritual
friends.
friends.
I'm joking.
There's a difference.
Friends in this. I'm joking. I'm
I
sorry.
know.
I got to get the joke. I don't
Yeah.
know why. What is it about me that does that?
It's a
Well, there's
do you
a-
consider that a bad thing?
I don't know if it's a desire to like just like I'm being serious and then I want to like take the edge
Relieve
off
it.
of being serious and so relieve it with a laugh.
Yeah, there is an element like we're doing a podcast,
It is
so it's
Yeah.
like you kind of feel this
But
need
this
to like
is
be a little
normal me.
entertaining.
This is literally me.
Yeah.
So
Okay. But I don't think that's necessarily bad.
I'll let
No.
Vanessa tell me off mic.
Yeah.
I think it's a defense mechanism, Brent. I think it's
How's
a
home
way
life?
I think it's a way
Sorry, I
of
stole your
masking some inner insecurity.
No. Oh man.
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
so
I didn't
Big
get
God's coming up.
I'm very excited for it. I heard you talking about it the other day about each week in the series, and it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Ash Wednesday's coming up
Ash
on Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. in the auditorium.
Take your
So-
date out for a steak and then come in to Ash Wednesday
Mhm.
and start Lent right.
Yeah.
Excited for the creative kind of projects we're coming up
Yeah.
to teach what Lent is, Ash Wednesday
Mhm.
is, Palm Sunday. It's going to be good. Anything else? Any other things you're excited about?
Yeah, I think just the whole Lent season leading into Easter. I think we kick it off in February and got some really great stuff planned.
Yeah. For sure. I'm with you. Yeah. Lent season's coming up, which kind of kicks us into Easter. So just a lot to look forward to. I feel like it's just been consistent in like what you guys have talked about community recently with together nights and groups at home kicking off and just the consistency that's brought for that. And so just encourage, I think it's helpful for me. It's like a challenge to lean into that, and to not think it's easy when there's not like an organized thing to just be like, I'll just hang at home and do whatever.
Yeah.
So genuinely, like it's been a good challenge for me to be like, all right, I'm going to be at together nights and I'm going to be at groups at home and like to keep that going.
Together nights have been so good.
They have been so good.
Are you joining a group?
I'm planning on it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What group are you thinking?
I don't know. I have to look.
Just going to peruse?
I'm going to peruse.
Okay.
Yeah. I really want to know what the content was first.
There's a word that you said earlier that I always want to end the podcast with this. You said bedridden.
Yeah.
What other context is the word ridden used?
Oh, wow.
I was like, we don't say I'm ridden to anything else.
Yeah.
It's just bedridden.
Work ridden.
Work ridden.
Play ridden.
Play ridden. Nobody uses that.
Ridden myself of whatever.
Well, that's to rid yourself. That's not ridden.
Well, like that would be RIDDIN apostrophe.
Just I just want to leave the listener with that thought. What other words do you attach ridden to?
Mm-hmm.
Horse ridden?
There you go. So ponder that. You can email us. Email Brent at slowcity.church.
I'm stuck on this horse.
Can't wait to hear your response.
All right.
This was fun.
It's Wednesday.
This was good. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening and watching if you watched.
Go share your faith.
And we'll talk with you soon.
See ya.